All right, our second stop on Free RPG Day was at Big Planet Comics, the DC location. Now, they are a comic store, not a game store, although they do sell games, which is great. So I guess it makes them a little bit more of a hobby store. They were a little more generous on their numerical allowances for games, so we were able to stock up on a lot of stuff. Now, by this point, our second location, Dreams and Machines, was gone and never saw that again during the day, so I was not able to get that. But while we were there, we got a little sticker. Cool. Grabbed a Deck of Worlds sampler pack. Now, I had a Story Engine pack that I picked up last year that was pretty cool, so I think this is one of those that's had a pack almost every year. I just never really looked at it twice, but when I randomly picked the one up last year, I thought it was pretty cool, and I figured I'd want to get some more, so I'm going to take a look at those. Wire in the Woods. This is a solo. Apparently, the full version of it also has a GM-less two-player version, but this is a solo game. It seems to be kind of reminds me of some of the weird indie cozy video games that I see out there, where you're playing little critters sifting through detritus of a dead world and not understanding what it is, but sort of trying to figure out the world. So I don't know. Sounds like it could be interesting. And I'll take a look at some point. Speaking of things that are at every Free RPG Day that I've never picked up until this time, Root. I mean, I'm pretty sure there has been a Root adventure every year, and I just never picked it up. Part of it is I have no connection. I don't do a lot of the sort of cutesy animal things, but I'm also trying to expand out to have a little bit more variety and a little bit more stuff that will allow me to meet people where they are. So I'm curious. I've heard very positive things about Root, so we'll see. I cannot remember if this is based on books or a graphic novel series or something like Mouse Guard. I really don't remember, but I think maybe it's based on a board game now that I'm thinking about it, but whatever the case, we'll check it out. Basic role-playing. I have said many a time that basic role-playing, this is the game that got me started, and it's probably, if I had to absolutely choose only one game or game system, it would probably be basic role-playing. I would love to introduce this to more people. Now, this quick start guide, I'm going to give it a read and check through. I think maybe I've mentioned in previous videos, but the quick start guide for the Gold book, the previous edition of basic role-playing, I was not a fan of. It felt like, I think I referenced it as an overwritten index, in that I didn't feel like you could actually do anything with it, because it kept citing, oh, if you're interested in this, well, look at the rule book. Oh, if you're interested in this, check the rule book. And I'm like, what? And the original basic role-playing rules that I got started with were a 15 or 16 page pamphlet. So I know you can boil the rules down into a very small package, and the glory with basic role-playing is how modular you can make it. It's very easy to plug in rules that are appropriate for whatever you're trying to run. Call of Cthulhu is a prime example. There are several rules that are plugged into Call of Cthulhu that modify basic role-playing specific for that genre. Same with RuneQuest. Same with Pendragon, where, Pendragon takes the percentile and simplifies it or smooths it over to a D20 roll, but it's still basically basic role-playing. It also has the passions and all that sort of thing. There are these plug-in systems. That's great, but the core game mechanics were very comfortably fit into a 15-page pamphlet. So I don't know what this nearly 50-page, 45-page booklet, I don't know what it's going to have and how useful it will be. I'll be very curious. I do love the new graphic design for it. I love the art for the current edition of basic role-playing. And I really do think that basic role-playing is a really swell system, and I hope that more people discover it, because it's such a different approach than D&D to two things. And I've said before, I don't believe in a universal game. Since it says universal game engine, I don't believe in a universal game, but basic role playing comes closer than a lot. And I think it does, where I kind of look at like GURPS as doing everything not well. I feel like basic role playing does a lot of things well, and then some things it just doesn't do. So, but I think it has a broader applicability to it than a lot of other games without watering itself down the way I feel like GURPS kind of just, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely, you could run any type of game in GURPS. Just none of them are going to be very good. I think with basic role-playing, you can run a lot that would be really good, and there's just some that it's just not appropriate for. So anyway, Castle White Rock. This is, as I believe, statted for both D&D and 5e. It's an adventure. It is introducing a new setting that I think Goodman Games is going to expand on in the coming year. I got to tell you, this was not on. This is the first year that I would say this since I started going to Free RPG Day. I think in maybe 2018. So I didn't really get back into actually gaming until 2019. But I think I started going to Free RPG Day and kind of like working my way back to it a little earlier. Anyway, but it's I think the first time since I started going to Free RPG Day that I kind of didn't really care about the Goodman Games release, and that's a weird feeling. We'll see. I'll be curious if I read through this and see what I think about it. I'm not really that excited about the idea of another new Dungeon Crawl Classic setting because, one, I'm not currently running anything, but I'm not running Dungeon Crawl Classics. I have several of their settings that I have not yet run or used in any way. Do I need another one? I really don't. So we'll see. We'll see. My usual talk about 5e. I don't do Dungeons and Dragons, but things are convertible. I have found that things convert pretty easy to DCC, and I believe that they will convert possibly even easier to Shadowdark. And that is, I believe, what Obojima Adventure, or Obojima. This is an Obojima Adventure. I believe this is a 5e, I think, compatible setting that is sort of Studio Ghibli inspired, or just general that kind of gentle animated thing inspired. I believe that's the case. Now I'm looking through it. I don't really see a lot of 5e stuff. Yeah, those stat blocks look pretty 5e. And I'm pretty sure it's 5e adjacent. But I think they do a lot with really kind of trying to tap into the JRPG vibe with, I think, crafting and all that sort of thing. I know they have a very strong presence on YouTube. They've done a lot of videos looking into aspects of their game on there. I've watched a few of them. Always curious. I'm certainly leaning lately toward interest in a more, maybe it's because of the state of the world, but in a more gentle kind of game. But always with me, it's wishy-washy into the extremes because I also really kind of like the Hells a Poppin', Super Deadly, Dungeon Crawl Classics, or Shadowdark game. But I'm also kind of like in the mood for this. Somebody referred to the music as vaporware, but I think about Ultraviolet Grasslands too, where it's just the trippy, spacey, meditative kind of games. Anyway, we'll see. Asium Quick Start Guide 2. I'm pretty sure I picked up the Asium Quick Start Guide last year, but never got around to reading it, so I should really do that one of these days. I remember nothing about this. I literally grabbed it because they gave us the option to pick up a bunch of stuff, and it does have some nice visuals. So I really don't know anything about this. I remember nothing from last year. The character sheet looks very 5e-esque. Excuse me. It looks pretty complicated. Sorry, one moment. Woo. Now that's what you get with unedited video. Pardon me. pretty first thing in the morning for me, so sorry. Then I got Shift, role-playing game basic rules from Hit Point Press. I know nothing about this one. Again, it's got kind of a trippy sci-fi vibe to it. Somebody somewhere referenced this being reminding them of the Cortex game. Now, I don't know if that's so that the rules are similar to Cortex or just that it might serve a similar purpose to the Cortex rules, which I don't remember. Was Cortex, was that the one that came out of like Armageddon and Witchcraft? I don't remember. Cortex might have been Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, or no, not Tracy Hickman, Margaret Weis Studios. I really don't remember. Other Space, a mythic cyberpunk RPG. I ran into somebody at the game store, and they recommended I grab this, so I did. I know absolutely nothing about this. It was not on my radar at all. I am a cyberpunk nerd. This has like a lot of moving pieces. These are like character sheet posters. Interesting. See the art style. It's a little vaguely anime-esque. There's certainly a lot of pops of color and dark. So I don't know. I mean, I am a longtime cyberpunk fan, although I have done very little cyberpunk role-playing. I have had 2020 and various R. Talsorian release. Actually, I had 2013, but I've had Cyberpunk from R. Talsorian for a really long time. But like Star Trek, the only time I ever ran it, I used Over the Edge because it was a system that worked very well for Cyberpunk, I thought. We'll see. And because you should always buy something, this is, I think, probably the most expensive thing that I picked up across the course of the day. This is another weird one, like I said in my unboxing of Shadow Dark, how it was exceptionally weird for me to pick that game up. Well, it's even weirder for me to grab Ryotama because I have a long-standing dislike of manga and anime. Don't like a lot of the storytelling. I can't stand the art. I actually like all of this art. It's the faces. They have always bugged me going way back. And there's like 3 different styles of anime face that are all kind of basically the same style, only exaggerated in different ways. And I hate them each in their own way. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's always bugged me. Anyway, I picked this up playing off of what I said a little earlier about kind of wanting something a little more mellow and gentle like this. From what I understand, this is a pretty mellow, like it's possible to run this game with no combat. And there is combat available, but it's possible to run it without. I know, the egg is like sort of the famous part of running the combat. But from what I understand, it's a mellow, gentle game about travel. Yeah, it just sounds kind of cool. And again, I think about Ultraviolet Grasslands, which is a similar kind of thing, although I think Ultraviolet Grasslands is supposed to be a little less cozy and a little more tripping balls. But I like the idea of a kind of cozy travel game. I'm curious to see how there's the game master character that's an inherent part of this, and there's a long running. I mean, any prescriptive rule about how to run games has a million exceptions. Anytime you say that you can only do this or you should never do that, you're immediately wrong. So, game master characters are a well-known thing to avoid in games. You don't want to take away the word that everybody uses now is agency, but it was also like you don't want to take away the spotlight from your players. This is not your game. It's a collective game. So a GM character is bordering on taboo, but this game builds it in as part of the game. So I'm really kind of curious to see how that works and how that plays. Now, it does seem like the GM character in this functions kind of like I saw somebody doing a review of this game, and I think they mentioned the Dungeon Master from the D&D cartoon. It does seem like it maybe functions a little bit like that, where you have your group, they're out on their adventures, and then once in a while the character shows up, says some enigmatic weird stuff, maybe sends them on a journey, gives them a hint, tells them something that's not true, and throws them for a loop, whatever, but not actually active all the time. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm really curious about this one. Anyway, that is my free RPG haul from Big Planet Comics in DC. Really cool store. They moved not super long ago, in only a couple of doors down from where they originally were, but their space is much nicer now. Like I went in and it felt like way less claustrophobic. It was just in every way a much nicer spot than their previous one. So I would definitely check them out if you're in DC. They're a pretty cool shop. All right. On to record my third video. Hopefully my voice will stay. Take care.